Welcome to Probot. Welcome to our headquarters here in Germany. Good morning, good evening, hello to all of you. I'm happy to have you here. I'm happy to show you our new roaster generation of PE roasters. This is so different for all of us, different for Probot and different for you. Because normally we see each other somewhere in the world and we can show you our machines like firsthand and you can touch those. Now we try to do something else. And we meet here in our lobby, here where past and present of this company come together, where on one hand is our museum and behind myself are the names of all our employees who worked for Probot more than 25 years. And this is where we meet all our guests, like we meet you right now here. But of course, here we cannot show you the new roaster generation. So I will take you to our R&D center, where Daniela and Jens are waiting for me to show you all the features this new generation has. So come with me. So here we are, our R&D center. It looks a bit different than it normally looks with all these media people here. But everybody's here to show you our new machine. So come with me. Here you have Daniela and Jens, and a couple of you already know those two. So Daniela and Jens will show you the new machine, and we will show you all the features we have, and we are very excited for this moment now. So have fun and good luck.
Thanks to Wim Abing for the nice introduction. Welcome also from our side. My name is Jens. I'm heading the shop roaster department here at Probot, and together with Daniela.
Hi, that's me, Daniela. Probably you already know me from training sessions, or maybe from the pop-up series, or maybe we have met somewhere around the world at some exhibitions. And yeah, actually that would have been our place to show you the new machine, to introduce you to our new machine. And due to what we all experience right now at this moment, we're going to do it as a digital launch. So also for us, that will be a very exciting thing to do together with you, and of course together with my colleague Jens.
So what's next? What will we do within the next approximately 30 minutes? Of course, we will do a roast. We will show you all the features of the new machine, and the presentation will be followed by a Q&A session, which will last approximately 30 minutes as well. Here on setup, we have the new P12 and we have the new P5. You can see they look more or less as twins. Technically wise, they are the same as well. And that's why we focus today on the P5, and we will do the roast on the P5 as well. The Q&A session, as I said before, will last approximately 30 minutes, and all the questions which we are not able to answer today will be answered in a further pop-up session, which will be held on the 15th of October at 2 p.m. German time.
And there will be also something more in our Q&A session. It's not only that we answer your questions, but of course we're going to roast some coffee. And this coffee, as it's going to be a very special coffee that we're having here today, this will be given to you. So we're going to do a raffle at the end, and everybody who is participating and sending us nice questions, that everybody has a chance to just win one of our coffees at the end.
Quite exciting. So we are thrilled to present you all the new features, and we do hope that you are as excited as we are after the presentation.
And what comes with new features, new machine, there also comes a new name. So until today, we all knew these roasters were called the Probatone series. But from now on, they are called the P series. So it's not just new features, but also new name.
And let's start with the movie.
Yeah, now we're going to show you a movie, and we're going to let you see how our iconic design just meets high-end performance. Enjoy!
Mit unseren Ladenröstern waren wir schon immer die Benchmark in der Spezialitätenkaffeeszene. Aber mit der neuen P-Serie wollen wir jetzt nochmal einen draufsetzen, sowohl technisch als auch designmäßig. Und als Weltmarktführer muss das auch unser Anspruch sein. Kaffee hat sich vom reinen Wachmacher zu einem Lifestyle-Produkt entwickelt mit vielen Facetten, mit ganz vielfältiger Ausprägung. Dadurch haben wir neue Anforderungen an die Maschinentechnik, weil unsere Kunden das Beste aus der Bohne rauskitzeln wollen. Und mit der P-Serie geben wir denen genau das Tool an die Hand, um das möglich zu machen.
Außen haben wir mittlerweile ein ikonisches Design und innen, da stecken viele Neuerungen drin und eine Menge technischer Highlights, die wir bis jetzt bei Ladenröstern noch nicht kannten. Da profitieren wir massiv von dem Know-how, das wir von den großen Röstmaschinen haben.
Wir haben es geschafft, wie bei den Industrieröstern, die ganze Bedienung nur auf einer Oberfläche direkt am Röster zu integrieren, und das ist komplett neu für die Ladenröster-Serie.
Also die neue P-Serie wurde voll auf Bedienerfreundlichkeit und Präzision ausgelegt. Das führt zu einem perfekten Röstergebnis.
Die Bedienung des Rösters ist sehr intuitiv, kann auch von Anfängern sehr einfach erlernt werden. Für Experten gibt es immer noch Konfigurationsmöglichkeiten, um immer weiter in den Röster einzutauchen.
Mit der neuen P-Serie bieten wir noch mehr Raum für Individualisierung, sowohl was die technischen Features angeht, als auch was die Gestaltung des Designs der Maschine angeht.
Also die Individualisierbarkeit ist für den Kunden natürlich super. Für uns Ingenieure ist das eine Herausforderung.
Wenn die besten Röster der Welt oder die Leuchttürme in der Branche sich für unser Produkt entscheiden, dann ist es für uns das Zeichen, dass wir doch wohl vieles richtig gemacht haben.
Okay, before we start with the new features, let's talk about what we kept, because of course the current machine also was a great machine. We kept the drum design. What does it mean? We have the same diameter to length ratio. We have the same shower mechanism, which you know from the Dash 2 series, and the drum is still double walled, which means we have 2 layers of sheet metal with insulation, air insulation in between to avoid scorching or black tips on the beans. Furthermore, we kept the main processing technology, which means we have a separate burner underneath the drum, which just heats up the air, which is then by means of the airflow going through the drum, transfers the energy to the beans. That means we have mainly convective heat transfer.
Which is extremely good, because what happens, we create a very high reproducibility and we have constant roasting results. This is also what we need to have and what we're going to do with the old machine, and of course even better with the new P series.
And another important topic, flexibility. So that's why we kept the burner system, which you know from the Dash 2 series. It's a kind of pre-mixing burner which can be set from 0 to 100% in 1% step. So it's very, very easy to control the burner power level and quite precisely. We also kept the cooling tray. It's the same as we had with the Dash 2 series, but now it's quite easy to just rotate the discharge gate to the position you would like to have in your premises.
And of course, we have kept our separate cyclone, which makes it possible that we can roast and cool at the same time. This was also possible before, but we keep this feature because we can simultaneously have the coffee inside the drum and also in the cooling tray, as we have extra ventilation for both.
So the machine is almost hot. You just give it a little bit more power to heat up for the next roast.
Okay, let me just see how much will be enough. I have put it on 75.
Perfect. And while we are waiting for the machine to be heated up, let's start talking about what's new. We have a new design. Some of you might know the new sample roaster, and we have taken over some design elements from the sample roaster to the P series, like the ring around the drum. P5, P12, and afterwards P25 will have the same design and look and feel. So that means even the P5 has the handle to open the discharge gate and to empty the coffee. We still have the cast iron front wall, so it's more or less the same as we had with the Dash 2, but we now put the kind of insulation on top of the wall to avoid hot surfaces and to reduce heat losses. Quite important, with the new machine, we do have more customization options. The machine body, that's more or less the complete lower part of the machine, can be painted in almost every RAL color. Then we have different design parts. Design parts are the tube here, the weight of the sampler, and all these parts here are now available in 4 different versions. The Dash 2, with the Dash 2 we had silver and brass, golden. It's still the same with the new series, but now we also have the chrome black one, and also a copper version will be available. Furthermore, the wooden handles of the lever, the sampler, and here from the slider can be made of different wood, like oak or olive. We improved the airflow inside the machine. Now, talking more about the technical things that were changed. We improved the airflow and now have less heat losses and therefore less energy consumption. And coming to the possible most important new feature, all the machines now come standard-wise with the new 15-inch touch panel, which shows the new software and the new controls of the machine.
We will see a little bit more of the touch panel while we roast. So we're just gonna let you know a quick overview. Later on, when we drop the coffee, when we start roasting, we're gonna see our graph, we're gonna see our curves where we measure the temperatures. The temperatures you can quite easily see up here in the right upper corner, and you can show different temperatures. So we're gonna have, of course, the temperature measuring our beans, our product. We have temperature for the environmental air. And important to say is that we have changed the position of the temperature probe for the product. So we moved it from up here to below here. More to that later on. Also on our touch screen, we see that we can change our burner setting. We can change our airflow through the drum, either with the drop-down field or with just entering the digits. This is something we will let you experience while we actually roast, because by now we are almost at our roasting temperature, and we will go ahead and drop the coffee. Jens, please already help me getting the coffee. Thank you very much. The coffee is a very special coffee that we're going to be roasting today. Comes from our friends in Berlin, from the barn. And this coffee is from El Salvador, from Finca Himalaya. And actually this coffee was supposed to enter the Cup of Excellence, but unfortunately, as we all know, situation made it not possible to do so. But for us, we are the lucky ones that are now able to roast this special coffee. And as we said before, if you stay tuned for the Q&A, maybe some of this coffee could be yours later on. I would say we're gonna let the coffee in at probably 205. Would that be okay with you as well? So I'm just gonna heat it up a little bit more, give it some more power so that we can get started.
Okay, you give me a signal.
I will give you the signal and we'll let you know when the coffee can go in. And then we will go ahead and see what's happening on the screen. So
we're almost there.
almost there. It's a 2-person machine. Let the coffee in, please, and press start. And as we see already from the drop, we get our first marker. That means filling. And we see down here below now it's opened up a field where we get different flags that we can set. We can clear the screen, we can mark the color changes, we can mark the first crack in beginning and also end. And then of course, all the time we get shown our product temperature at the moment, which is corresponding to the curve. We see our roasting time, of course. We see our exhaust temperature in the back of the machine. And you can change that. You can say, I would like to see different things in my operating panel, and then go ahead via the screen and just change those parameters. Would you like to...
Please set the airflow a little bit higher.
The airflow a little bit higher. I will also go ahead and just lower the burner a little bit and set the airflow a little bit higher.
80%.
80%. Yes.
Perfect.
There we go.
Okay, while the coffee is now in the drying phase, let's talk about the new options, the new features. When it comes to temperatures, standard-wise the machine, as Daniela mentioned, is equipped with the bean temperature, which is located somewhere here, and with the exhaust air temperature located in the back of the machine. As an option, you can get a kind of sensor package consisting of supply air temperature, so how much energy do I give to the bean, environmental temperature that's measured inside the drum but where no coffee is, and also cooling air temperature, so you can measure or monitor how quickly is the cooling taking place, so is the coffee already cold or not. Further packages are the VFD packages. We do have 2 different VFD packages. One is called the roasting package, including drum speed, so a VFD for the drum drive to change the RPMs of the drum, and the other VFD is for the roasting air fan to control the airflow, to set the pressure conditions inside the system. The second VFD package is called cooling and includes a VFD for the stirrer, so you can even have an impact on the RPM of the stirrer, and the cooling air fan, which is located in here in the lower part of the machine. So that means you can also control how quickly is cooling taking place. Last but not least, we do have a pressure monitor device. That means there's a sensor measuring the constant negative pressure inside the drum, and you can see this on the screen as well. There's a small value called vacuum, so you can always see what pressure is measured, and this gives you a hint what's now happening regarding the airflow.
And these features, of course, help to make it more constant, more easy to being reproduced, and therefore your roasting will become a little bit easier. So you have more ways to monitor your roasting, but of course you always have to check your product in between. We see now we're changing from green to light green. This would be the first flag we could set. So we already marked the color change, which is important later on when you create a recipe and when you let people know what did you do and that you're gonna redo it again. Also important for a lot of people, environmental temperature and also the rate of rise of the environmental temperature. This already can let you know slight in advance when will your first crack happen. First crack, always a very important point when you roast, and this gives you already an idea when will it happen. If you use all those features and how you use it, this is of course always a question of combination and what's important for you while you roast. So this is why we put it as option, that you don't feel forced. But if you want to do it, you have all the possibilities that you want to have to make your roast consistent and quite evenly. And we see now our coffee is changing color again. It's going quite quickly, so we're going to make it a little bit fast for us. We're going to mark it again and set the next color change. Always have it quite close. While we are talking about our screen, our roasting, we can also show you some more of the features that we see here. Jens, would you like to talk and I do the click?
Let's start with the right-hand side. So we start with the information menu. So in the information menu, we just put some basic information in. So which options were chosen, what's the gas type used, and all these things. So it's more or less just for your information. If we then go to the options, we can set time, temperature, whether it's Celsius or Fahrenheit. We can change the language. So we do have not even German and English, we also have Chinese, Korean, Arabic, Italian, French, a lot of different languages which can be chosen here. Of course, you can also set different colors for the graphs in the diagram, and you can also change which kind of flags you would like to have in the diagram itself. Then we do have our alarms. So in case that something is wrong with your machine, you get an error code and a small description what might be wrong with the machine. Possibly you can help yourself. Otherwise, just give our support team a call and they will know how to guide you through the problem or how to get rid of the problem. Then we have the history. We will have a look at this manual later on in more detail. Just some information in advance. All rows done with the machine are automatically logged to the history, so there's no need to push a play button in advance or something else. All rows done, started and stopped via our software are automatically logged. Just go for the diagram.
Yeah, I will just go back to see our curve and check on the coffee one more time. It's going to be brown already, so we're going to put the next marker in color change. Always having a close eye on what's happening. We're rising a little bit low, so I might
increase burner power a bit.
Yeah, 85, so let's go to 95 to not make the roast too long. Already 7 minutes 40, and of course, as said before, this is a very special coffee and we just want to give you the experience, how to enjoy it, how to find all the flavors and descriptions, which you of course will also get with this coffee, and therefore important for us not to overdo it in terms of time and just making it a nice, round, smooth cup of coffee.
So as Daniela mentioned before, you can set different flags for different conditions. Color change, first crack start, first crack finish or end, second crack start. But it's also possible, it's like here, it's a comment field where you can just add a personal comment to the recipe. This is quite easy to add as well.
Yeah, for example, if any weather conditions change outside, and you might need to take that into consideration while you're roasting. Let me check again. We're coming close to first crack temperature. Just see that we don't miss it. Usually here in this area, it would be even a little bit more noisy, but now everything stopped working in here just for us so that we can present it and we can hear now very, very good. First crack is about to start. It's about to become very dynamic. So this is when we put our marker for first crack. And of course, we're going to lower our burner a little bit so that we don't rush into that too much. Now we're going to watch it quite close to not missed the point when we have to get the coffee out.
Possibly you should already
With
start
our sliders,
stirrer and cooling air. And you notice it now, the stirrer starts quite gently. That's due to the VFDs. And also the cooling air fan is now starting at a very low power range, but we would like to cool the coffee down as quickly as possible. So if you have the time, just change the fan speed of the cooling air. It's quite low right now, I guess.
Yeah, it's at 35, you're completely right.
Just go to, yeah.
I'm going to set it to 100, cool as fast as possible.
And now we can cool down as quickly as possible. It's kind of noisy now.
And I would say we're about to take the coffee out.
Then let's do so.
And that's what I'm going to do now. Complete and save.
Just save the recipe.
I'm going to lower my burner first so that we don't have that much energy.
Perfect.
Okay.
And now, while the coffee is cooling down, possibly we change the fan speed a little bit again to make it less noisy.
Let me put it to 50 and see if that helps already.
Now, while the coffee is cooling down, we can have a more detailed look to the history and the recipe manager.
Let me just open that one. Okay, here we have our...
As I said before, every roast done with the machine is automatically logged to the history. That means we have now here our roast. From today, we can just tick on it. Oh, that's the wrong.
Yeah.
This one, and we now see the curve, how the roast has developed. And if you tick on the diagram, you'll get all the values. So you can see what was at a certain time, what was the temperature, what was the pressure conditions, which power level did I have at this moment. And so you can quite easy find out or analyze the graph afterwards.
Yeah, true.
Just go one step back.
One step back. There we go.
So if you would like to create a recipe from a history data set, which means you found out that this roast was a really great one, and you would like to take this history data set as a guidance for the next roast, it's quite easy. You can see the stars on the left-hand side, and as soon as you have marked one of the history data sets with a star, you can then afterwards go to the recipe manager, tick on new recipe.
Did we get the right one?
No, you have to take a new recipe. Go back, new recipe on the right hand side.
Yeah, but I think that was probably the wrong one that I've chosen.
So now you can just add a name of the recipe. Let's call it test or launch.
Let's call it launch. Okay. And we had our Finca Himalaya green bean.
Means you can also choose the coffee that was used for the recipe, and we can get the history data set as a guidance or as a marker, and then all the information which was recorded in the history is now directly transferred to the recipe. And we have all the data in, and it's afterwards just save it.
Yes.
And then we can select it afterwards. It's directly loaded, and you just have to click on Start Recipe to have it as a guidance for your next roast. And now we have two possibilities.
We can either roast automatically. That would mean that the machine, the software, is actually trying to reach your roasting curve, and is trying to all the time do not the same setting of what you have done, what you probably know from the Probatoner, but now it's really reaching to come to the roasting curve. And this is not necessarily happening with the same burner setting, but also with adjusted burner setting. And we also have the possibility to roast manual mode if we prefer that. And then it will be the same like what we already know. Our original curve will be in the back, and a curve in a different color will be on top of that, showing if we're on the right way, yes or no.
Okay, just go for manual, then we can set burner power again to, let's say, nil. And I suppose the coffee is already cold, so that means we can switch off the cooler to make it less noisy. Roasting is done, cooling is done. Let's talk about the timeline and the outlook. Our website, www.probot.com, has already been updated. All the information about the machine are in, and we also already have a new configuration tool where you can design your own machine. So you can choose the color, you can change the design versions and all these things. The P5 and the P12 can be ordered from now. So just get in touch with our sales team, shop@probot.com, and we'll be happy to provide you with information and prices and all the things you need. When it comes to deliveries, we expect the first deliveries of the P5 in November and the first P12s in December 2020. Some of you possibly now ask, but what about the P25? The P25 will be launched in Q1 2021, and it's very likely that we will ship the first units in early Q2 2021. Of course, all machines of the Dash 2 series, P5, P12, or Probotono 5, Probotono 12, and Probotono 25, will be available for some time now as well. So in case that you are in a hurry and need a roaster quite quickly, you can get a Dash 2. Or if you would like to extend your production capacity because you already have a Dash 2, you can still buy a Dash 2. But that's also possible. Well, thanks for attending. Thanks for your participation. We hope you enjoyed the features that we recently presented. And now it's your turn. Just enter all your questions in the chat, either in YouTube or Facebook. Both is possible. We will have a look at both of them, and we will try to answer all your questions.
But before we do that, we would like you to come with us and see all the team that's behind the development of this brand new machine of our P series, because we are just standing here and representing a group of people that has been involved. So please come with us and see the movie, One Team, One Machine. So now you know the amazing people behind this amazing new machine, our new P series. And now we are ready to take your questions. So please keep in mind, whenever you send us a question, you're in the pool, you win one of those great coffee packages. And we're now just going to go ahead and check what came in during the time that we presented our new machine. So let's just go through this one real quick and see what came in. Oh, wow. Okay, that's going to actually take a while to go with. And
so one of the first questions was regarding Cropster, I guess, whether the machine can be easily connected to Cropster. Yes, that's possible. So all the machines come with our Probot software, but the interfaces for both Cropster and Artisan will be implemented as well. So it's quite handy to connect the machine to Cropster without changing any hardware components.
And I also see in the same question there is a comment about how easy it would be to prevent ash or burnt flavors. And we can say this is already something that we could do already, but of course we still kept this feature. You can just at the end of the roasting probably just open your airflow a little bit more and get all those smokiness that you might experience in your coffee out of the system, or just lower the burner. And of course, just said we also kept a double-walled drum, so also this could help. So depending on your roasting, yeah, definitely possible. Let's see, what else?
So next question is about the screen. So some of you mentioned that the screen, you couldn't see the screen quite well. Don't worry, just join us for the next pop-up session, as I mentioned before, on the 15th of October,
15th.
2 p.m. German time. We will have another pop-up session about the new series, and then we will share the screen of my laptop directly with you via Facebook or YouTube, and then you can easily follow where you can enter some information and which buttons you have to push.
I also see there's a question concerning drum speed and airflows. This is something we have explained. So if there's any more questions concerning this, how to probably put the combinations together, that would be something I could answer you in a direct email, because as you know, there's a lot of possibilities. But yes, definitely possible to adjust all this, also the stirrer and also the cooling airflow. Thanks, by the way, also for your amazing comments about this nice, good-looking machine, and of course also what you've seen so far. Thank you for that. I have another one here. It means there's a question if the airflow control or drum speed, if the control packages are with the roaster, or if there's something that needs to be fitted separately. Yes, of course. Also here, just said there are things that are standard with the machine. For example, the thermocouple from not only the bean temperature anymore, but also now access air. But of course, there is some things that you can still put together if wanted. That would be the temperature sensor package and also the VFD packages. So here also options that you can choose but don't have to.
So there are quite a lot of questions. So please just send your questions. We won't be able to answer all of them today, but we will definitely try to answer them within the next pop-up session.
Again, another one about Cropster. Already said something about this.
So some questions regarding the screen. So the screen is more or less like your mobile phone, like your tablet. So it's quite easy to control. So you don't have to push that hard. It reacts quite quickly and easy to control.
Also, another question, if it would be able to control the roaster with an app on the tablet or alongside the touchscreen. Yeah, this is also something that we kept, so it's still possible to control it with an app that you can just download. And I think you can connect also tablet if wanted.
So in fact, there's no need to download a software, because the software itself runs on the roaster, and you just connect your device, so your laptop, your tablet, even your smartphone, and it's a kind of web application, so just the interface is then displayed on your mobile device, and the software itself runs on the roaster.
And there's also another question when it comes to transferring the profiles. It's like with any other machine, transferring profiles, it will never be the exact same temperature. And as we have already said, the position of the bean temperature is a little bit changed. So it will not be 1-to-1, but you can take your curves and it will run more or less in the same way. So it's not a complete new machine and new technique. So it's just better. But you can use, of course, the profiles that you had before, maybe with a little bit adjustment of your dropping temperature or your burner settings. But as for the rest, it's just reacting like what you know.
Okay, some of you, of course, do ask what's the price of the new machine. So we won't provide any prices now yet, but you can just get in touch with our sales team via shop@probot.com or contact your local Probot representative in your country, and all of us will be happy to share all information with you.
There's a question if it would be possible to connect the machine to the web so that we could do a service via the internet. When I am quite correctly informed, this is not possible, and still if there's technical issues, please do us a favor and give a call to our support team and they will gladly help out. This can then be done again, of course, via Teams or whatever, so that you get all the help that you need. But a connected machine, that's not possible for us to interact with your machine then.
There are also some questions regarding service of the machine. I suppose we do a special pop-up session regarding maintenance and service of the new machine. For example, how the front shaft bearing is lubricated or can be lubricated. That's quite easy. You can dismount the cover very quickly. You have just to loosen 4 screws, and then you have access to the bearing directly. And as I said before, we will provide a special video or a specialized video for maintenance and service afterwards.
And there's also a question on the automatically repeating of the roasting curves. Yes, of course. There's a manual mode, there's an automatic mode, and this automatic mode reacts even better than what we knew so far, because so far the software was just doing what you told it to do, and this regards the burner setting, but now it's actually looking at the curve and trying to reach the curve even with probably different burner settings. So it's really definitely helping you to be more precisely, and it's easier to recreate your roasting curve.
There's another question regarding the thermocouple placement. What's the smallest recommended batch size? So we had some other questions regarding batch size as well. As mentioned before, we still will have the 5, 12, 25, which is also the nominal batch capacity. And of course you can run the machine with less coffee. With the repositioning of the new thermocouple, even something around 1 kilo, 1.5 kilo should be possible in a 5 with good readings.
Definitely. That's the reason, so that always the thermocouple is in a nice bean pile, so we have a more stable reading on that one. Now let's just go through. It's actually not that easy to follow all your comments here. There's another question on how we monitor the airflow. So what we do, we show you the negative pressure of the machine, and this is actually also how you can see how much suction is going on inside your machine, and you can also adjust the speed of the ventilation. So with those 2 parameters, you can actually see how strong is the airflow going on inside your machine.
So there's a question regarding updates. Updates will no longer be provided on an SD card. You can just load it to the software or connect a USB stick. Both is possible. The burner power is the same as with the -2 series. So there's a question how powerful are the burners of the 5 and 12. The P5 still has 14 kilowatts and the P12 28 kilowatts. And the chaff collector comes with the roaster, so no need to buy a separate one.
And now there's a question. I think it's Spanish, and my Spanish is very limited. So if you have the possibility to probably send your question in English, I understand it's something going on with first crack and 200 degrees. So maybe the question would be when it happens. So also here with the position of the thermocouple being a little bit different, you will also experience that your first crack comes temperature-wise a little bit earlier, but it's not like 20, 30 degrees earlier. So it's just probably 10 or 5, depending on the amount of coffee that you're using. I hope this answers your question, and if not, please try to resend it and we're going to answer it later or in the pop-up session. Can we tell you something about the noise, what to expect? Yeah, the noise of the machine, of course, it's more or less of what you probably know from the Probatoner series. But for me, one of the big advantages, if you place your roaster in a coffee shop where you have a lot of customers coming in and you probably roast smaller batches, your cooling tray is not completely covered with the coffee, you can adjust the airflow of the cooler. And this actually helps to make it less noisy. So yeah, cooling takes a little bit longer, but it's also less coffee, and the noise is not as high as it was when it was not covered perfectly with coffee. Hopefully that was what you meant.
So some questions regarding afterburners or catalyzers. As some of you maybe know, right now we do offer kind of filter system to reduce the smell coming from the roasting air. And by beginning of next year, we will offer some afterburners and catalyzer solutions for all P-series roasters as well. So P5, P12, P25.
I see there's also some questions regarding the purchase of an afterburner. So this is something that will be offered from next year. So we're working on this solution, afterburner catalyzation system. We get this question quite often in regards of having the roastery in the city. So if there's any more that you need to know about this, just please send us an email and we will get back to you with all the information that we have so far that we can provide at the moment.
So there's a question about the customization options, so whether the ring around the drum is part of the design package. Yes, it is. So in case that you go for the black chromed version, you will have a ring in black chromed, and if you go for the copper version, you will have a ring in copper.
I also see a question about preventing chaff fire. This, of course, is something probably not being helped with a new machine, because chaff fire usually happens when probably the diameter of your piping is not at the right setting or at the right clean situation. So chaff fire happens quite often when you probably do not clean the chaff collector that often, or when you probably have buildup inside and you pull through very small particles that probably have ignited before. And this is not that much connected to our new P series. So maybe this would be a question also for our support team with more information from your side, what's going on in your place directly. Oh yeah, here we have it, the cleaning process, if it would be the same. And yeah, I mean, the basic cleaning ideas, of course, the pipes and also all the other stuff, that will be more or less the same. And also here we kept it in the same way as it was before. So the pipes are easily to disconnect and you have to clean them depending on how much you roast and also on how dark you probably roast. So make sure that this is always done at the proper interval.
So some questions regarding the roast we did. So without focusing just on the machine, we put in 5 kilo. We haven't checked the color yet. And yes, it's pretty light, so out with the end of first crack.
True.
And the fastest cooling time is around 2 to 3 minutes by having the airflow on 100%.
I just read here, it's a Lamborghini of the roasters. Thank you. The fastest cooling time possible, yeah. Oh, sorry. Oh, I was so fixated on the Lamborghini. I didn't listen to you, sorry.
So since there's a new touch screen pad, is it working as a computer, so you don't need to connect it with PC? Right. There's no need to connect the machine to an additional device. All you need, software-wise, is already on the touchscreen. But it's also possible to connect a second device because, as I mentioned before, it's just the web interface shown on the device.
Okay, at this moment we're...
Updates, powerful.
Do you see any more questions right now? Because...
So there are some questions regarding the packages. Possibly I should just repeat the packages. We do have 4 option packages. One is the VFD package roasting, consisting of VFDs for the roasting air fan and the drum drive, so to control the RPM of the drum and to control the airflow. The second package is VFD package cooling for the stirrer in the cooling tray and the cooling air fan to have an impact on the cooling time or either the noise around in your roastery. Third package is the sensor package temperatures, consisting of supply air temperature, so the temperature of the air going to the system. Environmental temperature, this thermocouple is placed in an area in the drum where no coffee is. And the third one is cooling air temperature. And then the fourth package that we do offer is the negative pressure or pressure monitoring device, which constantly measures the negative pressure in the system and gives you a hint on how much airflow do I have.
There's also another question, if the automatic roasting software as well as saving and reproducing profiles come as standard. The software, yes, is the standard. I don't know what you mean by comes a reproducing profile as a standard. This is of course something that needs to be done by yourself, just according to the drinking habits and also the customer likings. So this is something we cannot provide. So there's no preset profile on the roaster. But of course, if you let me know what coffee you want to roast and what your goal flavor probably is, we can talk about this and maybe I can give you a direction on where you want to go and how you can reach this point. But there will be no preset recipes in the roaster.
So a question regarding the power of the cooling air fan from Paul. Is the optional variable cooling tray more powerful than a P12-2, or is it just able to throttle down? Yes, that's the case. So the fan indeed is the same. Running on 100%, you will have the same cooling time as today. You can just reduce it a bit to have less noise. Burners are the same as with the -2 series, so we still have the pre-mixing burner, but with an optimized software on it, so we are now able to adapt the machine to slightly different gas qualities in a more easier way.
There is I just see this question already came. What is the thickness and material of the drum wall? The material of the drum wall is just normal steel, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
and the plate, the metal itself, what will it be, 5 millimeter? Probably.
Oh, it's less.
And it's even less, so it's quite thin. But the cool thing is that we have double walled, so we have an outside drum, we have an inside drum, and in between those two there's approximately 1 centimeter of air in between, and this is what keeps the actual contact heat away from the coffee beans, and therefore the most heat transfer is done by air. And we do this because we want to prevent black spots on our bean depending on how's your temperature and how fast are you roasting. This is why we have that insulation of air in between. So Hopefully this answers the question. If not, just please shoot again.
Some more questions regarding the software. I mentioned that it's web-based, so just the interface is shown on your device, but it's still, we are not talking about having the data just in the cloud. So all the recipes or the history data is saved locally on your roaster and then just shown on the external device. And it's also possible to export this data to have it loaded to different roasting machines. Mm-hmm. So you can share your profiles with your local roaster colleagues. And just a further note.
Yeah, go ahead.
The software is standard, so there's no surcharge for the software. So that's part of the machine now.
That would have been the one I was looking at. There's a question if you can change an old Probatoner and put the new screen on it. And I think this is now possible, right? Once you have the old handling the device, you cannot just take this off and put a new screen on. Sorry for that.
Exactly. It's not possible to change to the new screen, but we're currently working on a kind of retrofit kit so that you're at least able to run the new software with your Dash 2 roaster. This will require some additional hardware components. The package is not ready yet, so please be somehow patient, but this will be released quite soon.
And now I got a question I really need to say. Unfortunately, I have to ask my colleague to answer this correctly and well known so that I can give you the right answer. It's according how to reduce the acrylamide during roasting. This is something I will talk about with my colleague Ilvana, who works for the industrial sector, and they have a lot of ideas on how to do that. So please, if you want to have more information, send me an email. I can put you in contact with her, and then you can just have more chatting on that topic. Is the pedal design the same as in the Probatoner series? Yes, it is. We did not change what has been good all the way up to now. So yeah, it's the same design, the same pedals. So also the movement of the beans inside is the same, not just around itself, but also from the back to the front, so that we have less contact with the hot parts in the drum itself. With the octane parameters, is it possible to do an industrial scale up? Yeah, if you know how to do it, because also here you cannot just take the temperatures. As you know, industrial roasters, they measure temperatures at different points in the roast. But what can you take? You can take your timing. You can also take the coloring of your coffee and put this to the next bigger drum roaster, and then you can use also the curve that you get and all the other events that you have been setting, like the color change, and put this just up to bigger step drum roasters and get more or less the same result. I'm always it's a little bit tricky to say it will exactly be the same, but it comes very, very close.
There's one question whether we have carried out some user experience research in order to
find the pain points
and to prevent mistakes we probably did before. Yes, we did. So we visit with our head of software engineering and our product management. We visited some customers and really had a very detailed look on what they do all day when working with our machines. And of course, all these findings were now included in the new software.
There is another comment on our hot air and how it works with a double drum. This will be something, if it will be okay with you, I will write down and send over the comments, or we can just talk, because this is really a thing that we had all the time. So if there's something we can explain you some more, that you understand the airflow inside, how the air is transported through the drum and how the beans are transported through that hot air. Let's just make that a thing between me and you, and then we can talk a little bit more about that topic.
A question regarding the 1 kilo machine. Yes, it's planned that the 1 kilo machine will be updated as well. So please just stay on our social media channels, and we will announce it as soon as we are ready.
Another question concerning the insulation on the front plate. Yes, that's new. So we put that extra on top, and therefore the hot air movement inside and the transport of the heat to the bean, and also the keeping of the energy is better than it was before. So we have less energy loss.
So it's close to 3 o'clock.
Yeah, I see that. Time just goes by so quickly.
Just some last questions, but you can still continue putting in your questions, and we will review them afterwards and answer them in the next session.
Or you just meet us in our next pop-up on October 15th, and we're going to work on the questions, and we're just going to see that we prepare it all nicely so that you can just get all your answers. So yeah, I just see we are at the end of our Q&A, so a lot of people are in the raffle, so yeah, looking forward to give you that nice coffee, and I would say thanks for joining, thanks for
again
being here.
for being with us. We hope that we will be able to see you somewhere in the coffee world soon.
And hopefully then also for real, also the digital launch for us, a completely new thing. So thank you for being so supportive and being here with us. And yeah, next time hopefully we can just talk to you like we know, just from face to face.
Okay, see you.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.